The world has never changed faster and will never change slower. Welcome to the We Are Future series, where we get to talk to global thought leaders and industry experts on all things digital, technology and innovation, and how it impacts the way we live, work, act and interact. Now tune in for those candid conversations and be part of creating the future of work. Welcome to another We Are Future interview series. Today we are joined by Mitch, who is the State Director of SEEK in Queensland. And I want to get straight into the conversation and let yourself introduce you. Who are you, Mitch? What are you doing? And how did you get to where you are now?
Yes, as you said, I'm the State Director for SEEK. So I guess I've got a long history. I was an ex-sports person who decided to take a plunge because I couldn't find a job, essentially, after being a sports person in London, into the recruitment world. So I spent about 15 years in and out of recruitment over the years, and then joined SEEK after running my own company for 8 years. And yes, I've worked in account manager roles for SEEK, both in Sydney and in Queensland. And in November of 2017, I was given the opportunity to come up here and lead the team up here. So I guess my focus is really, it's a sales and service hub. So we do a lot of engagement with, for my role, senior level stakeholders here in Queensland, from top levels of government through to senior people within organisations, just to work on their talent acquisition strategies and essentially get the most out of the SEEK platform, essentially.
And obviously you've been in the talent acquisition and recruitment space for such a long time. What have you seen, what are the biggest changes that you've seen over the last few years from the corporate perspective, but also from the talent side of things?
Look, I think really the tools that we're using are becoming a lot more sophisticated. So I think if in terms of SEEK, over the last sort of 4 or 5 years, this use of data, this use of analytics to be a lot more intuitive with the way that we hire. So we know that technology is starting to take a lot more of the legwork away from sourcing because it's oftentimes high volume. There's things like understanding by looking at people's CVs and profiles and being able to sort of match against certain position descriptions or job ads and things like that, be able to match them up and see which one's the best fit. So there's a lot of that historical legwork is now being done through the use of big data and essentially artificial intelligence. Mm-hmm. It's not happening as a rapid rate. So there's a lot of talk around things moving so quickly, and I think we just had a group of people at the ATC conference down in Sydney recently, and so 12 months ago there was a lot of fear around what artificial intelligence is doing to the recruitment game or the talent acquisition game. And this year, 12 months later, there's not quite as much fear or anxiety around what technology is actually doing to our industry. So I think there is a realisation now that yes, technology is there. It's not going to basically wipe out our entire industry or essentially wipe out huge job functions, but there's things like bots and stuff like that are coming in where we're using data to communicate essentially. So it's happening, but it's happening at a slower rate.
Mm-hmm. And what kind of changes have you seen in terms of the skill sets required to do this slightly changed function?
Look, I think if we're talking, I guess it definitely becomes a lot more of a softer touch game. So you're really going to have to read. So a lot of that heavy lifting is going to be done through sourcing and looking through people's CVs and cross-checking about whether their background is relevant. But a lot of this will come down to the human connection, right? So we talk in terms of recruitment agencies, we talk a lot around ensuring that they can find the best talent quickly, so their networks really, really well, and that comes down to relationships. And when you do get the candidate in front of you, being able to really use your soft skills to analyse whether that person's the right fit for your organisation. So the softer, more EQ aligned skills are going to be hugely important.
And have you seen any changes from the talent market over the last few years? I mean, how much do talents still use Seek compared to LinkedIn, compared to Indeed, compared to applying directly, word of mouth? Where are the trends there?
I think word of mouth is really, really important. I think we always know that when we talk to a lot of companies, word of mouth is one of the more important tools. It's cheaper for starters, we know that, so it's hugely important. I think the candidates' expectations from online platforms is a lot higher. They want to be able to. We put obviously candidate experience is always first for us. So it's about how can they find the opportunities quicker and then more relevant and more suited to them. So a lot of our focus is really around how do we ensure that we get a quality set of opportunities to the candidate quickly. And that is generally done by using technology, of course. But their expectations of us is quicker. The time frames they spend on various platforms is incredibly small. So it's really about grabbing their attention quickly.
And I mean, you can do so much to improve the candidate experience, but you have not really control over what companies are doing in terms of providing candidate experience to talents who are applying. Where do you see the trends moving in terms of this candidate experience? Where can companies easily improve their current experience, and what will be a must-have, which is not necessarily the case already?
Yeah, look, I think it's we call it closing the loop. It's a big thing that we work on. Essentially, a candidate applies through our platform. Their CV goes off and it goes off to the organisation for shortlisting and so on. What we do know is probably around half of those candidates actually don't ever hear anything back from the employer. So we spend a lot of time on trying to develop tools which will give them an idea of, first of all, managing expectations up front, so looking at what their backgrounds are through their CVs and their profiles, and sort of flagging to them where they're going to be relevant to for this particular opportunity, and then giving them some nudges along the way that potentially maybe they weren't successful in this particular opportunity. But I think for one, organisations need to start to take care of their applicants, and there is a bit of a disconnect between understanding that everyone who applies for your organisation potentially is a customer down the track, or a potential employee down the track. So we really need to focus on how we treat them through that top part of the funnel as well, ensuring that everyone's notified. I guess the biggest thing is EVP. So we talk a lot about EVP at the moment with a lot of our clients, and why would someone come to work for you? So when we look at the broader workforce, we're starting to see this. We call it a hollowing out of the middle. So we're starting to see, as automation and analytics and so on and robotics is starting to get a lot more prevalent, we're starting to see that the really high-end technical skilled roles are sort of moving towards one side, and then there's a greater amount of roles sitting in more of that service oriented. So we're sort of seeing this hollowing out of the middle. So when we have that top level talent is becoming really scarce, so we need to understand why that top level talent would essentially come work for you. So really articulating the value proposition for employees, because we're all wanting different things these days, and flexibility and so on. What is that? And then if we're pitching a certain value prop through the initial stages, are we comfortable that is actually being lived through the organisation? And a lot of times we see that. A lot of times we hear of stories of things being promised at the start, but in reality, it just doesn't happen. So you have this constant churn within organisations where companies, I think there's a figure that it's been around about 50% of all new employees are potentially looking for a new role within 3 months, and that's because whatever was promised at the start wasn't necessarily delivered in when that comes through. So I think that across the board it needs to be thought of, whatever we're going to market with, this amazing opportunity, what is it that makes it amazing, and is it in fact amazing.
Yes, there's a lot of great opportunities and outstanding roles and so forth, but everyone has got the same wording towards it. So what, as you said, what really is amazing about this opportunity? And do you see Australian companies do already a good job with articulating their EVP or doing some employer branding?
I think it's getting there. I think there's more of a push to start articulating it a lot more. I think there's as the workforce changes with what it wants, I think companies are slowly starting to think about what that is. There is still a majority that are pretty slow. And we're not talking about just we've got a good logo. We're talking about values that organisations live and can really bring the employees on a journey. So that we kind of, there is a bit of a disconnect between that. And so I think there are some organisations that are really doing an amazing job at this, as far as I'm concerned. But there's still a lot that kind of aren't. And then there's this working with marketing and the talent teams and HR working with marketing to really get clear on what the messaging is when they go to market. So that's probably another big thing that's not done as well.
And what do you understand of the future of work? What is it in your perspective, and how can companies prepare for whatever that might be?
Yeah, it's a really interesting one. The future of work for us. And we talk about a really big trend, and I discussed the sort of hollowing out of the middle. And I'm far from strategy at Seek, but when we talk to and have our strategy team come and talk to us, we really do see that. We really see those sort of the artificial intelligence and the really driving a wedge in the employment marketplace. And I think essentially what we probably need to do is get. They really need to think about how they structure their workforces. So we look at those big changes like cloud computing and things like that, and the future employee essentially wants to work from anywhere in the world because they can. Organisations really need to think about how they're actually set up to service that. Are they allowing, or are they using technology that allows their employees to access their networks from anywhere in the world? And especially as skill sets start getting scarce, potentially sourcing from other parts of the world to get those skill sets. So essentially, they need to ensure that they have they have the ability to tap into a global workforce essentially. And we also talk about this whole idea that if employees, in order for them to stay from falling below into sort of more those low-level roles and staying abreast, is this idea of lifelong learning. So it's employee-led essentially, but really as organisations we need to understand that we need to empower our people to be able to continue this lifelong learning journey, I suppose, so they can continuously stay in front of the curve. So in times gone by, you'd study an engineering degree and then you're an engineer and that's it. But the world going forward is that engineering degree or that engineering sector is going to completely be disrupted. So it's important for whoever's an engineer to continuously learn and adapt as it goes on. So a lot of support needs from organisations to their employees to take them on that journey.
And have you got any tips on how to stay relevant? I mean, where can we learn after university or traditional education? What's your go-to sources to stay ahead of the curve?
Well, there's this push towards micro skill sets or micro learning, I think it is. So it's small, short, sharp. So I think the idea of going off and doing an undergraduate degree or whatever, which takes a number of years, is people are starting to move away from that. So it's these micro courses, these small things that might take a couple of weeks. Some of them might just be an hour. I know there's some platforms out there that do sort of bite-sized e-learns as they go along. So I think there's got to be. I think for an employee, it's you've got to have this hunger to know more. And if you aren't driven for that hunger to know more, you will potentially be left behind. So yeah, I think there's a heaps of stuff out there that you can do. I think there's even things like at MIT you can do online, free, open source learning. There's just so much information that's out there that you can do, and it doesn't necessarily need to cost a lot of money.
Yeah. And just to wrap up, I mean, we've been talking so much about technology, about changes, about disruption, micro-learning and everything in between. What are you most excited about those changes and how it will impact you from a professional but also a personal side of things?
Geez, look, I love technology. I like this concept of Internet of Things. I love the thought that everything that's around me is interconnected, talking to each other. It's receiving and sending data to everything else. I was talking to my wife the other day. One of my biggest pains every day is waking up and making my first cup of coffee. I absolutely hated it, or absolutely hate it. So I want a machine that actually does that for me, right? So I know it knows when I get up, it just makes it for me, and then I know there's probably something out there that's already doing it, but that sort of thing on a personal note is good. And I kind of like the whole notion of the driverless cars and all that sort of stuff, but I understand the disruption that kind of goes along with it. But there's an enormous amount of things that we do on a daily basis which can be automated, right? From a professional standpoint, there's so many things that can be automated, and it doesn't necessarily need to be scary. I know there's things in your life, Petra, that you might be doing on a day-to-day basis, like, you know what, I couldn't be bothered actually doing that. I could be doing so many other things which are greater use of my time. And I think that's where the sort of technology piece will really play a great place in the workforce.
Where do you see leadership of tomorrow then? How can we navigate as a leader to embrace those changes and get people on the journey rather than being scared of it?
Yeah, well, I think this is something obviously that's pretty important in our world because it's pretty rife with disruption. So I think we talk about our lives at the moment at work as fairly complex scenarios, complex organisations where we're dealing with people who want different things than what they've ever had before, right? So it's creating this complex environment with disruption going on. They want different things out of the workplace, and the old style of leadership, I think, just doesn't really have a place. This whole kind of point and shoot, the dictatorial style leadership doesn't take a place. And I know there's a lot of leaders, experts out there talking about this better than I. But really, when I talk about our team, I think I spend a lot of time getting them attached to a vision of what we stand for as an organisation, what we stand for as individuals, and what's the impact that we want to have, on the community, on our organisation as a whole. And it's a soft approach. It's understanding what drives people more than anything else, and that's kind of where I think leadership needs to go. That you can't be standing over people yelling at people anymore. I think that just disenfranchises people and they'll go, right? So I think that you need to get them on the journey with you, and it needs to be a little bit more inspirational than just saying I'm the leader, because that's management, right? Leadership is completely different.
Totally. Well, I love all your insights and the purpose and what you stand for, and I'm excited to see what's next for you and for Seek, and what it means for the Australian human resource space. So thank you so much for all your input. Where can everyone find you and connect with you?
I'm on LinkedIn, I'm on Twitter. They're probably the best place. LinkedIn is probably the best place to find me. If anyone wants to connect, I'm happy to catch up and chat about their views of the world, and obviously happy to chat about Seek and what we do here. There's a lot of exciting things that goes on within the organisation, which I wasn't even aware of when I first started at Seek. It's doing some pretty cool stuff.
Yeah, awesome. Well, thanks so much again, and we'll see you soon again out there.
Pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you. And that wraps up another insightful conversation about the future of work. And now we want to hear from you. What was the biggest takeaway from this conversation? Make sure you share your learnings on LinkedIn and also tag our guest speakers. And of course, if you or somebody you know has some more interesting take on the future of work, send us an email to contact@wearefuture.com. Until next time, and keep creating the future of work.